We're here in Naas Racecourse for the Tote to dissect the Cheltenham Festival. There's 5 of us here and there's 4 days ahead. We're going to start with the champion hurdle. Some say it's a poor renewal, but still has to be won. There's no previous winner entered in this year's race, so there's going to be a fresh face on the winner's enclosure. Is Epitant the one everybody's on? Danny?
I think Epitant, everybody is slating her really, saying she's not good enough and she doesn't deserve to be favourite. She's a mare on the up with a big performance in Kempton at Christmas. She deserves to be at the head of the market.
Yeah, is there any gelding, does anybody think a gelding is going to give her £7 and do it to win a champion hurdle?
There could be. Super Sunday's a fair old horse. He has a nice, the ground's probably going to come up soft for him. His record when it's soft on the ground over 2 miles is exceptional. I think Jesse will have him spot on for the day. I think he could really put it up to her, even giving it a £7.
Yeah, it might be his year. Would you be disappointed if the likes of a Pentland Hills, though, a younger horse on the up, wouldn't be good enough to cope with a Super Sunday?
He's an old hole in him, I think, doesn't he? He's not finishing out his races. I couldn't have him now at all.
There's just so many of the older horses in the races with question marks over them. You'd nearly, rather looking at the race going forward, thinking a younger horse might be coming there to win. I don't particularly like Pentland Hills, but Silas Emery is the one I think is a dark horse of the outsiders. When you're going through the race, Sharjah's been there before. He has a question mark. Super Sunday, he's just a little bit old to be thinking it'd be a vintage renewal. You wouldn't like to say it's going to be his race. And the Gigginstown horse, Petit Mouchoir, he's a solid yardstick in all the 2 mile races in Ireland so far this season. But
does that kind of give you an indication as to Ireland's 2 milers? Because, Petit Mouchoir, all due respect, he's not champion hurdle horse, is he?
Not.
No, but it's normally you'd see some of these horses that even when the stars were around, there are times that animals got close to them, but still the best horse normally won. And looking at the race, even the last day, Honeysuckle, you'd say in another 100 yards, Darver Star would have caught her, and yet Honeysuckle would be probably second or third favourite in this if she was going to run in it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's when you look at, she won a half a length. And what was Super Sunday fourth?
So fourth, yeah.
And how far back was he back fourth?
He was only about under 5 lengths now. That was his first run in.
And the state's going to improve a lot from the run. I don't, in my book, I thought Jawan was very impressive the last day, Nicky Henderson knows what it's like to win a champion hurdle, and they're very confident of her. I think that the way they're speaking about her, she must be very good at home. They thought she couldn't be beat last year, and then he sort of blamed that she wasn't long enough in England and she just hadn't acclimatised to the
big
place.
Negative on her would have to be a flop in Cheltenham last year.
Yeah.
It's a place, people say horses for courses. She's going to have that in the back of her mind, a bad experience on the track.
Could you see her going down early? I have a funny feeling they're going to do something different. Because fool me once, you can't leave. You have to change something.
There was a big gap from her run, wasn't there? She hadn't ran. She nearly had a year off. She had a long time off at Cheltenham. When did she run?
Last year.
There was a big gap, I think, between her race. I don't think she was seen for a long time, so I think she had a proper break after Cheltenham to
was
let
she
her
one
recover.
of the Henderson horses that was impacted by the vaccinations?
That's what he came out and
She
said.
was, yeah. She was. I think the winner of the race is probably not going for it. Or it should be the winner of it, Benny the Doe. I think if that mare's 7-2, I think she'd pick her up and carry her. Soft ground, over 2 miles.
I'd say a lot of us would agree.
Yeah. I don't know if she's ever going to get supplemented, but
Would there be any chance of that?
We're 2 weeks out from Cheltenham now. Willie Mullins, could he change his mind?
Wouldn't be
Who
like
knows?
if she's a better mare than any power, or if she's as good as any power, or 2 lengths off
You'd have
any
to say
power.
she's odds on for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly if you're going to get heavy ground, because
Yeah.
they say she needs maybe a bit further than 2 miles.
Like she
Softer
does,
the ground
the
gets,
better.
I'm sure Willie is going to be racking in his head, and you wouldn't rule out that Benny could line up here. I think personally she's going to go for the mares, but
If she lines up, she'll go off favour.
she could end up doing.
Yeah.
But then this time last year we were thinking, 2 mares, champion hurdle, Applesjade, Larena. Now this year we're kind of in the same position and we know how it happened last year. I'm not saying they're similar quantities at all, they're not even remotely the same, but
There's no Bouvier in it though.
there isn't. I know some people will make an each way case for Curse Sublime.
Yeah, I like him now.
He's had a few.
He had a wind up. Russell said he heard a noise from him at Leopardstown that time. His women in Downpatrick looked very good to the eye. He ran all right in the Triumph last year, and he's
His
nearly
Leopardstown
4 times
run, that's a
was
long
dismal.
way off a champion hurdler.
It was, but there is excuses for it.
Wind up or
Yeah.
engine replacement.
You don't like too many excuses, lads, or
No.
anything to win a Grade 1 champion hurdle. You can't be a horse that sort of... You love these horses, even if there's some little thing wrong, they'll still win. They'll still drag it out somewhere, and you know, albeit, you know what, this could be a very surprising. I mean, no one could see Gavin's horse winning it last year.
Yeah.
And only got
He
beaten
loves
once.
soft ground, won't he?
Yeah. You know, so you never know. It's a very open champion hurdle, and that's why if the like of Willie would change his mind if it poured rain a couple of days before it, you know, you'd never know.
Me personally, even without the rain, I'd go there. I still think she'd beat them.
I think Rich wants to go that route, doesn't he? He come out and say,
Leopardstown at Christmas.
yeah, he wants to go champion, but
But Rich would, he knows Willie's way of thinking, and he's put it to Willie. From that interview, what I
Yeah.
picked up was that he wouldn't be opposed to it if Willie thinks before the race that there's a possibility she'd have a winning chance in it. He'd be happy enough to go down the route, but it'll be up in the air still. Like if Benny the Jew, if she stepped up to 3 miles, which she won in Gorn the last day on soft ground to take on Paisley Park, I'd really fancy her there, where I think she'd have a strong chance in a champion hurdle. But like Honeysuckle dropping back to 2 miles in Leopardstown, she nearly got found out by Davern Star late in the race. Benny the Jew dropping back down here, it's a champion hurdle, there's no hiding place. Would there be a few question marks there still?
Yeah, but is it that good of a champion hurdle that they're going to take her off her feet? I don't think it is.
Definitely, yeah.
You see, it's hard to know, lads. The one thing about these good horses, and she's unbeaten. The like of even when you're talking about honeysuckles and stuff like that, it's amazing when she still won.
Yeah.
You can say 100
good
yards
ones
past
win.
the line,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. She still won.
She won, yeah.
And you know, she's unbeaten. So, and as you said, she's going for the mayor's race. I think is there a question mark about that yet, or anything still? Are they still definitely going for the mayor's race?
Don't know.
There's no.
Before we give an hour talking about the champion hurdle,
Yeah.
is there a chance Gordon will drop Envoy Allen back into it?
if it was mine, that's where I'd go.
Reading the Cheveley Park interview with the Racing Post today, it is all down to Mr. and Mrs. Thompson.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So I mean, at the end of the day, I'd say definitely Gordon will go for this. Go for the
novice.
The novice.
Yeah.
He'll go for the Ballymore. But then they're the people
Owners
at the end
call
of
the
the
shots,
day.
and they
and
pay
if-
the
if
piper,
if-
yeah. One other question. Ballyandy beat Pentland Hills last time. Why is Pentland Hills 11-2 and Ballyandy 25-1?
Ballyandy is what he is at this stage.
So
Yeah,
that
you're just
means
betting.
Pentland Hills is worse than that.
He's had a
Oh,
wind
I
up as
don't-
well, hasn't he? Hasn't he had a wind up since his last run?
Penless?
Oh.
Pentland Hills.
You'd hope he would be.
Was there something about that?
He did have it, but I watched an interview with Nicky Henderson saying that he wasn't sure. They got the wind up done because
no noise.
Clutching at straws.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
They weren't fixing a problem that he
couldn't
saw.
find
They
anything
just
else,
they,
really,
they
yeah.
went for it. Yeah, so he hasn't said it's a major positive.
So that's a negative on him, really.
And the way he's cut out in his last 2 races, I think there's a serious
That's
problem.
probably
blaming-
why they did that.
They were
Yeah.
blaming Nico's ride the last day.
Jeez, he
If-
couldn't have played
you
it much
know,
later.
God,
As
if-
Paul said, he'd have won if he was good enough.
If he's champion hurdle horse, he
Yeah.
should have gone away
Yeah,
and won
absolutely.
easy.
Right, so I'm an epitaph.
I'll have to go. What will I go? Super
know,
Sunday each way. You know,
Okay.
solid. If Benny runs, obviously I'll go for her. But I think Super Sunday is a good each way bet.
I'd row in behind Paddy Super Sunday.
I'm actually
Can't
going the
keep him
same.
out
I'm
of
sorry,
places.
we're all saying the same thing, but I'm just looking at him, and I think he'll improve a lot from the last day. And I think the word is there's a lot of improvement left in him. I know he's getting on a little bit, but I'd like him at 14-1 compared to Epitante at 7-2.
I'll go Epitante. I think she's
So
fairly
we
solid at
want
the
to
top.
win and these boys want to be placed. That's grand.
Safe.
Roll the dice for a winner.
Safe bet.
So on to back to the opening race really of the day. The Supreme is a race that Ireland have done particularly well in. I think Willie's always had a champion for this, Danny, but this year Nicky Henderson, the guy who foiled his run when Altior beat Min a couple of years ago. Is he going to do the same again with Shishkin beating Asterion Forlange?
I think Asterion Forlange at 4-1 versus Shishkin at 5-2. I'd have to go with Asterion Forlange. You know, obviously I've ridden him and I thought he was very good in Leopardstown the last day. Before the race, I'd say if you put a gun to Willie's head, he would have been saying a Ballymore horse, but the performance was very good. Easy Work was second in the race at Leopardstown, and I think he was rated 145, 148. He beat him 10 lengths and beat him fair and square. Where Shishkin, I watched him win in the last day. He won very easily, won 10 lengths as well. Bad race. It was only a 140 horse, and he beat him 10 lengths. So probably on the law of averages, they're close enough between Asterion Forlange and Shishkin, but I'd still have to go with Asterion Forlange. You know, it was a really, truly run race in Leopardstown. We went a proper gallop all the way, and he picked up and galloped to the line strong.
Not too many horses go around Leopardstown like that in front.
No.
And jump and stay going.
And, you know, he
And go
was
down
hitting
to
the
the
line
last
well.
and
It's a
ping it.
long straight in Leopardstown when you're there on your own, and
Yeah.
he hit the line very strong.
He jumped marginally to the right.
He did, but I actually thought he was going to jump more to the right later in the race, and in the home straight, I actually pulled my whip into my left hand. He just looked up into the stands and jumped a little bit left over the second last, which you don't pick up on the camera at all, and leaned again the rail to the left going up the straight, jumped a little to his right at the last, and then ran onto the line again. So I don't think it's a fact that there's often when horses jump left or right, there's a bit of pain with them. The fact that he actually went left at the second last says to me it was just a bit of greenness still in the horse. And even when he went right at a few hurdles, he didn't lose any ground at them. You know, he's a big horse who should be awkward at a jump, but he goes down there, does his thing, land, and he's gone at the back of him.
Yeah, he's a simple horse. Whereas I think Shishkin could potentially be keen. He's quite a keen going horse. Whereas your horse, or Asterion Forlange, I think Paul will probably be riding him, but he seems very straightforward. I actually like Gordon's horse, Abracadabras. I think he's tailor-made for a real strong gallop, which will be set in this race. And he's got a turn of foot that isn't that common in action hunt
ideal
horses.
for him, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just where they go a good gallop, good strong gallop, and you know, I don't know who'll ride him, but you can just picture getting a lovely spin around and play your cards.
You'd almost ride him like a flat horse.
You would, yeah, just lob
Trained
away
for it as
there.
well. Now normally it was
Yeah.
sort of hard on him. He ran
a lot in the bumpers.
He did, yeah, and he looks to be trained for this. And as you said, he's a real sweet traveller.
His run
Plenty of
behind
Envoy Allen in Fairy
Envoy
House.
Allen, yeah,
He's
Fairy
good.
House.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
solid bit of form.
Solid bit of form. He looked like he was
And
nearly
he
coming
came
to
there,
he
yeah.
came there looking like
Strong.
know, yeah.
Has he got a little kink in him, but
I wouldn't
Oh,
read
he
much
had-
into
no.
Leopardstown last year. Like, I've ridden plenty of bumper horses, and he's a big raw horse, and they were all in a crowd. They were running on ground that was too quick for the likes of him
Yeah.
and Envoy Allen. He was rolling
He was
around.
looking for the
He
rail,
went
wasn't
through
he?
the yeah.
And he kind of just
Went
took
in
it a
through
step
it.
too far, yeah.
He ran a very solid race in the champion bumper last year. Was he fourth?
Yeah,
I
he
think.
Cheltenham,
kind of
yeah.
kept Envoy
Yeah.
Allen in for a long
He
time.
was,
yeah,
he looked, yeah.
He got into a bit of a bumping match with him, which you don't want. He's a monster, but
Yeah.
he could
was
be a
fair-
very good rider.
He was a fair winner in Fairy House now without Envoy Allen.
Yeah.
The way he
Yeah.
cruised there, he'd never came
He
off
looked
the
like the
bridle.
winner furlong down.
He did, he did.
So I
Tizard's horse
think 6-1
for
with him.
the Supreme, Fiddler on the Roof. He won in Sandown. It's probably a horse
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed with in Sandown on the day, but the more rain that comes, he's a horse that just really keeps galloping. He'll make a proper race of it as well.
Yeah, they're very sweet on him. They obviously
Yeah.
regard him very highly.
They're keeping everything away from him, aren't they? All the other sort of, they've all kind of a bunch of horses that are the same, going well, but he seems to be one that's their supreme main hope, basically.
I think they have a really good batch of young horses
They
as
have,
well.
haven't
We'll
they?
get to
Yeah.
the Ballymore
Just
and the
separating
Alpbard
them.
later,
Yeah.
but it's a great problem to have, and I think they're doing it right. Obviously, JP McManus has Chantry House in here, Gary.
yeah, he looks a fair horse now, and he has Sport and John JP, so it'll be interesting to see how he splits them up. Chantry House, whether he's good enough, he looks a nice long-term prospect. Probably will improve for a fence. I think he could be next year's horse. So he probably wouldn't be for me in this one.
Okay. Well, if there's anything we haven't mentioned, but I'm an Abracadabra's woman.
Yeah, I'd probably go with a Stern for lunch. But Abracadabras, I can see him running a big race, getting there late and putting it up to him. I just think the grey horse is tough and he'll come up the hill.
Styrian for lunch for me.
I think it's going to be a good race, and I think that of the Irish horses, there's definitely Gordon's horse, Abracadabra, and Aston for Lunge, and I think that Fiddle on the Roof, I'd give him a chance as well. I think it won't matter. I think the softer the ground for him, it'll make a big difference to him as well. And I think he's the best of the English horses.
One I'd give a life to be Salvia Pimpernel now. I was impressed with him at Limerick at Christmas. He's a good tough, hardy sort.
Has he been sold?
Has he?
I think he'd been
He was
sold.
in a sale, yeah.
Yeah, I thought I saw that.
We probably should know that.
Yeah, Robicar have bought him.
Yeah.
And yeah, he looks...
Peter Fatty still trains him though,
Peter
doesn't
Fatty
he?
still trains him,
Yeah.
you'd imagine.
He had a great run at the track, his first
Yeah,
run.
in the handicap, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Like, he probably wouldn't be as classy as some of the ones at the head of the market, but he's just good and tough.
Did he
and,
beat something that day that came out and won? Did he beat something in
Big
Limerick that day?
Gardens of Babylon of Joseph O'Brien's 2.5 lengths one night, but very
tree,
heavy
wasn't it?
in Limerick at Christmas.
It was bottomless, that's the yeah.
Like there's Cheltenham soft ground, there's Limerick soft ground.
Did he run
There's-
behind Enboy Allen? Fairy.
In Fairy House he was a good bit behind him now. He was nicely found out. Yeah, he was beating the best part of 20 lengths in Fairy House. But, you know, a 4-year-old in December, they put him away after Limerick or
I
Christmas.
think Peter's
Maybe
horses
they're
as well. I
training
think
for
Peter's
this day.
horses were improving after that. He went through a bit of a patch there for a couple of months, and I'd say, you know, there could be a bit more behind that run.
Nice horse, but for me, he's not good enough for a Supreme.
Elixir Danny, any note on him? He ran very well in Nace for a long time, made the running. He was too keen at Leopardstown.
He was. I thought Nace was a very good run for him, and Leopardstown, as you say, he was burning petrol early on in the race. I haven't heard which race he'll go for. So Willie is trying to figure out where he wants his horses, and then the McManus team themselves will figure out how their novices are going to split up, and it'll be another week or so, I'd say, before
Be
they
worried
have
about
that
a horse
confirmed.
that gets very keen around Leopardstown and going to Cheltenham, wouldn't you?
You'd be worried about him stepping up and trip. Yeah.
You'd imagine on his Leopardstown run, he's definitely going to have to drop back to the Ballymore or back to the Supreme.
Right, well, there's the Supreme. We have no winner picked out for you. But everybody's on something different, and we think the Irish have a handle on the favourite. Actually, a favourite hasn't won this in the last 4 years, so that's not positive for Shishkin.
But they're due, aren't they?
They were what?
It's due. It's
due,
winning
yeah.
favourite. Get the punters off to a good
No,
start.
it's the Irish second favourite, I reckon.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to the next 2-miler, the Arkle Chase. I think, have a very strong hand in. Danny, you know a bit about Cashback. Is he going to scupper the favourite notebook?
I think he can. Cashback, I've ridden him the last twice. I won him here in Nace, and that was probably when he announced himself as a proper 2-mile chaser. He was very good that day, and it was a competitive race that he just really opened up. And in Leopardstown, I was lucky enough to get the ride on him again. And, you know, he actually settled quite well in Leopardstown down over the first fence or two. It wasn't until he went away from the stands in Leopardstown that he really started to maybe open up with his jumping. But that's where I think he'll be able to turn the form around with Notebook. Notebook on the day in Leopardstown, you know, he gave Rachel Blackmore hell on the way to the start. I was actually going out behind him and I seen her heading off down to the right. Again,
You were happy after that. Did you give her a push?
You started looking at her.
I just smiled and I said, keep going. You know, she done a fantastic job, you know, to get a handle on him, get him back down to the start. And, you know,
Where is the 2-mile start at Cheltenham, out of interest?
in Cheltenham, it's very bottom of the straight, so you canter up by the stand,
Back down the
back
chute.
down the chute. You have an awful lot to
Yeah.
deal with.
Yeah.
It'll be a long way to the start for him. If you're back in Notebook,
And it's down the
I
hill
could
as
see.
well.
I could see her just trotting down.
Yeah.
I'd walk him past the
You
stands.
wouldn't want to get a run on her, you know.
yeah. And where everybody thinks Cashback is very free in his forward going type in his races, to me, where he makes his ground is he's jumping. He's just so fast. Like, there's a great few shots of him here in Naas down the 3 or 4 fences across the bottom. He just makes so much ground away from him. When you see that side on, when he lands, he's gone again. And I think mentally he'll take the race so much better. And Fakir Dadair, he's going there without a run. You can't rule him out of the race. But he was found out by Notebook at Christmas. I think Cashback might be able to turn around the form with Notebook. And for me, Fakir needs to step up a little bit.
I wouldn't agree with you. I thought that he was a little bit, if you can call it, unlucky at Christmas, and I think that the ground was probably as quick as he'd like it. He's as good a jumper as I've seen for a long time. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and to me, I think he's going to take an awful lot of beating in this, especially if the ground is soft. I think he's a great price, and I wouldn't worry at all about his run. He didn't run because of the ground the last time, and I'd say he's there's been no worries about his fitness.
Would you like him because of his run against Sam Crow and Fairy House more so? Sam Crow went, he got beat by Faugheen. Faugheen went and won the next day in Leopardstown as well, but was that Fairy House form?
His beginner's chase was probably stronger.
You'd think so.
It is. I just say that there, lads, in Limerick. I mean, there's Limerick ground. I think it's extraordinary the way a horse can stop in Limerick.
Bottomless.
And you can't call the ground. There's only one. There's certain descriptions we have, and heavy is the worst you can get. You can't call it unraceable or bottomless. It just gets so holding, and I think that when the battle bit started, it looked all over. You'd like to be on Sam Crow, 3 or 4 out. This first can't be beaten, and all of a sudden then, when the battle started, he was beaten.
But then,
a long way out.
Fakir, if you go back to his beginner's chase, I know it's November and it's very hard to get a handle on the form then, but he only beat Mellon 3 lengths. Mellon's been really found out in the 2 mile division as well. I love the horse Fakir Dairies, but the more you go through his form, the more holes maybe you can find in it.
You won't have the wait for age allowance come Cheltenham as well, so yeah, I think he's up against it myself.
I'm a huge fan of Notebook anyway, so.
I've question marks on Notebook, just with what Danny said as well, just keeping a lid on him.
Would you, if you were riding him, you'd be taking
I would walk him
every
past the
precaution,
stands.
but they
I'd
could do
trot him
that.
for furlong.
But there's times in Cheltenham it's very hard to start walking. You just imagine everything's gone away from you.
It's nearly
the horses have
impossible.
left. And you just imagine the crowd and the noise and the flags
I
and
think
coming
what
down through the crowd. It's
people
unbelievable.
don't see is when you come out to shoot, you go up in front of the stand, you turn back. They always grab it with you.
Yeah.
To get back into that shoot, there's an elbow there.
You do that zigzag chicane thing. That's right.
Most
He's gone.
of them kind of jump into it straight
yeah.
away. But even if she gets by that trotting, past that fact, I'm not sure he can stay going if he locks on it in front. I don't know what Cashback will do.
You'd be jumping off surely to track Cashback.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be jumping Notebook off to make it.
Yeah, but if he gets a couple of horses in front of him, is he as good? If something jumps off and goes a million miles an hour.
There won't be a couple of these fast enough.
Yeah, I suppose there probably won't be fast enough. But Cashback, I reckon him at 7-1 is
very solid bet.
Value.
Yeah.
Because I think he's going to improve again. I was really taken with him in Leopardstown. I thought you had her beat.
100-yard marker stopped the race there. I would have said I'm getting back up here.
Just a lovely rhythm.
Yeah.
A straightforward horse that grabs the bridle, can lead and travel, but also breathe through his race. I think he's 7-1 is very good value for him.
Of the British contingent, I actually like Esprit de Large. He's 14-1 here, I think, with Tote. I know Ollie Murphy's very sweet and brewing up a storm, and Global Citizen of Ben Paulings is fancied as well. But Esprit Large is the Grade 1 winner in here. I think he's beaten probably the most quality of the British contingent.
Well, your man brewing up a storm was a Grade 1 the last day.
Yeah.
But it's like he was beat. I think
he got an extraordinary ride.
But I thought that the horse that fell was beaten, wasn't he? I think the horse that fell at the last was going to win.
I think so, yeah.
I think he was.
He was coming at him quick.
And he was 10 pounds, or was he 10 or 14 pounds wrong in the
reins? Yeah, he was. And he was there upside him, and he lay down. Your man had done it tough in front too.
Yeah, he had.
It was a horrible day.
Yeah.
Skelton's horse has a chance, I think, the mare, getting the allowance. She's won a point.
She's unbeaten over
She's
fences.
unbeaten over fences. She won a point, and she's done nothing wrong. And she's good value, good each way value.
Will she need more of a trip, Paddy?
If it comes up soft,
Yeah.
she's been racing in
She'll
England.
be ridden to pick up the pieces, will she?
Yeah, I'd say fourth, fifth, something like that.
Okay,
You
It could suit a horse to drop out because they're such a pace, I'd
But
say.
she
Yeah.
has stamina. It could be a quick race like that. She might sit in behind the two, you know. She will get the allowance, being a mare. Her form is solid, you know. And she's coming in here with ones beside her name, which always helps.
So, verdict.
I think it's tough to look past Notebook now. I don't think he's done anything wrong, and he'll do for me.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm going to Fakir the Dairies.
Cashback.
I'll follow Danny, cashback.
There we are. Ireland to dominate the Arkle, the Supreme and the Champion Hurdle. We're wishful thinking. Now we're going to skip the ultimate here. We'll come back to the handicaps in a second, but the Mayor's Hurdle. Can anybody talk about the Mayor's Hurdle and not mention Benny Didja?
No. As I said before, if she ran in the Champion, I think she'd win that. And I think she'll just win the Mayor's Hurdle easy. if she
You don't
goes
give
there.
Honeysuckle a chance
Not
to land a
against her.
glove?
Not against her. I think she will be second to her. I think she's the second best mare around. I don't know. Benny Didja's form in France is just the French champion hurdle. You know, she blew him away there.
Yeah, well, she beat the Bon Cur. That was probably the performance of her life.
Has to be.
Yeah. She is a
And,
fair horse.
you know,
the Boncourt.
and beat her easy.
Yeah,
So-
she's a mare that is so versatile. You wouldn't be worried about what way the terrain turns up. Trip is probably right up her street. She's rock solid.
Rock solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wat'll finish second?
Sure, I mean, if you'll have to say Honeysuckle.
So it's best for punters to play the exact.
The two of them are going to be, if they were in the Champion Hurdle, to be first and third favourites, or
Yeah.
first and fourth favourites. So it's basically there's a very, very small discussion to go on about this, I think.
Yeah, well, we'll give
What
one
about-
bit of credit to Lady Buttons now, the British mare. I
Yeah.
think she's a really good mare. 20-1 about her to be each way value. I think she's
Yeah, I have her
fantastic
marked
value
there.
with that.
Yeah, I think, you know, I suppose the top two, they're very good here, but anything can happen. You know, Cheltenham, mares, soft ground, down to the last, you know, anything can happen.
We've seen it before.
We've seen it before, so I suppose you have to look at the bigger priced ones.
Like Apple's Jade.
I can't
No,
have
can't
her.
Is there any in the World
Cheltenham.
Hurdle, is she? Champion
don't know.
Stairs?
I think
No.
a mare I won on for Willie,
I was
El
just going
Fiel,
to ask you about that mare.
in Punchestown.
Same owners as Honeysuckle, are they?
She's not. Or she is. Sorry, yes. And I was thinking Eglantine de Soil is the same owners as Lorena. She's another one that has won at the festival before. Two of those mares from Willie's, I presume they're going there. And I think at big prices, you know, 12-1 El Fiel, she hasn't the class maybe to beat the top two, but you know, she's an each way bet in the race. There's going to be a lot of mares in this that just aren't good enough.
Yeah.
And I think she's definitely one that could have a good chance of placing. And Eglantine de Soil, you know, she's been disappointing since winning at the festival, but
Imagine the first and second having one sense.
Yeah.
First and second. At the third, what was third in that last year?
Black Tears was third.
Tears was third.
Gordon's mare, yeah.
Yeah. You know, that-
Eglantine de Soil, though, she came back and ran a good race in a handicap at the Dublin Racing
yeah, she was third or
Festival.
fourth, was she?
So yeah, it
Yeah.
was looked like a winner at the last,
Yeah.
and 25-1, solid bit of value.
You're
for
kind of
each
just
way
playing
bet.
outside the favourite, first and second favourite,
Either
aren't
that
you?
or do the.
Do the forecast. Yeah.
We're going to talk about the ultimate, Paul, because you have a bit of interest in that.
Yeah, Discorama Jane. You'd have to say we're a bit disappointed in the Tri-Town, but it's hard. He's not a big horse. He's 16, little bit 16-1, and he doesn't even look that. He's a sort of a short couple sort of a lad. If he hadn't ran in Punchestown, you'd be worried that the 4-miler took so much out of him last year. But when he went to Punchestown a month later and finished second in the Grade 1 to Delta work, you couldn't argue then that it was the 4-miler, you know. So we made a mistake and brought him down to Limerick because we were adamant about this ground with him. But I just think now we've done his palette since, because we just weren't happy with the way he ran. Sure, but the one thing about him is I don't think it suits him to force him. And any time you lads will be always on to you about the way you're riding him, why you're dropping him out so far. He was dropped out in the Martin Pipe. He was nearly second last the whole way, and your man got a freebie in front. Gordon's horse, no one went near him. It was the only race in the whole Cheltenham Festival that went no pace. They crawled, and our lad came through and he beat all bar him. And then he got into awful traffic trouble with horses pulling up and falling in front of him in the 4 miler, and he still looked like he was going to win jump in the last, and your man just out battled him.
You were saying the English handicappers give you £1?
Yeah, I couldn't.
Fair.
No, he didn't give me £1. He left me off my same mark as I'm in Ireland. But the strange part about it was Lebrule beat us in Cheltenham. You might as well say fair and square. And he's ran twice over fences since, and he's been dropped £5 from 150 to 145. We were dropped £1 for the Tri-Town, and ran bad then in a 4-horse race in Limerick over hurdles, and we were dropped £1. So we're off level weights last year. Now we're meeting your man £3 worse off. So I just can't do the maths on that myself. Does that mean if we had ran one more time over fences, we'd have been dropped £4 or £5?
Probably not.
Probably not.
It was
So I just
probably
can't work
doing
out
you
that.
a favour, and then you worked it out that he was actually screwing you, patting you on the back at the same time.
Yeah, and that's not nice. But listen, we're hoping that that it's like sort of you're doing something that from disappointing runs. But I just didn't think. I think no matter what, if you forced him on that sort of ground, he was off the bridle from the very start. And it was amazing that he got so far.
Yeah.
It just showed the horse's resolve to be pushed and pushed and pushed. Easy work won by a distance. And I think he looked like he's a different gravy on the heavy ground. And I think he would have been a different horse on heavy ground. He won that so easy. He looked like the best novice around. I thought Easy Work looked the horse to beat. But then in Leopardstown, your man bet him 10 lengths. Just the ground, I'd say. He's a proper soft ground horse. Wants it very soft. But listen, I think that I don't think our lad is ground dependent. I think his best run was probably, I think he was going to beat Ballyward in Naas when he fell at the last, and that was on sort of lovely jumping ground.
Yeah.
So I don't think that soft ground is essential for him, and it might just help him travel a bit smoother.
Could be
And
going
he has a
there
chance.
in a great chance, but it's a 3 mile handicap chase, run on the old course in Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Go 100 yards and your race can be turned upside down there.
Absolutely.
He has the right profile. And he's a good price for value.
He's a great price, and he'll be dropped out.
Yeah.
So he'll be ridden to run well.
And he's
that's
form
it.
at the track.
And he's ran twice in the track, and he's been second twice.
Yeah.
So
Any
It's always
idea
a
who'll be
help.
on him?
Cooper will be on him. Yeah.
The other handicap on the day is the Close brothers. Actually, Ireland had a 1-2-3 in this last year when Plutar won by 16 lengths. He beat nothing really. Tower Bridge hasn't managed to win since, and Ben Dundee similar. Plutar obviously has gone on to be a brilliant horse this season and the end of last season. Is there, just looking at the top of the betting, I can't identify a horse that's going to be a 16 length winner, let alone go on to win Grade 1s. Maybe Master Tommy Tucker. I haven't,
was just
honestly,
gonna say-
haven't
Is this a
seen the
145 race,
weights.
Jen, isn't it? Is this restricted to horses rated 145 or less? I think it is.
It is, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Master Tommy Tucker should be after winning 2 very good races. He's
He's
really,
going to pop up somewhere.
really good horse. But I don't know if it's going to happen in a handicap.
Yeah.
I think you need a small run of field and a small track, get his
He
confidence
actually
back.
he got left alone the last day, and he
Yeah.
still made some stupid
Yeah.
mistakes. So
Well, Annie Mack, she won a point to point, didn't she?
she did, I
She's
think.
after winning her
Yeah.
last 3 over fences over there. It's a tough race. I was looking at
A
today.
tough race. Chosen Mate was good, I thought, when he won his beginners in Gorn.
Yeah.
Spyglass, he looked very good in Gorn.
Don't think the Gorn form was very good. I fell at the third last on Ante and Gorn. I thought I had Chosen Mate well covered. Where everyone said he quickened, the camera actually switched to the side on camera. When you go from the main camera where it's looking, let's say from the stands, to that side arm camera makes horses
Makes it
look
look
good.
like
They're a lot
flying, yeah.
faster.
Yeah.
To me, Chosen Mate would have to improve. Master Tommy Tucker would be a cautious
If he lines
vote
up.
in this race.
Yeah.
One that I'd really like in it be Holden now. I think he has a serious chance in this. Mick Shannon's won it before for the same owners as well. He's just coming along nicely. Nice last run the other day. Well, back in December now. Second is put away for this. Has a nice mark. I think he'd be better than that. And he looks a fair out
Who will
price.
ride him?
Oof, you wouldn't know.
Johnny Burke rides McShane's, is he?
Yeah, could be Johnny Burke with him.
Yeah, he's rode a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, he'll do for me in that
Tote's
race.
the one. Value.
Perfect. We'll move swiftly on to the
Yeah.
National Hunt Chase. We can't call it the 4 miler anymore because this is the first time it's going to be run over 3 miles 6.
Yeah.
Obviously,
The drama.
You know, if it's going to make things easier, we have to move along and agree to
Get on with it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, if a horse is that slow that it needs 4 miles as a novice, I think you're in a spot of bother anyway. So if there's going to be changes made, I wouldn't be 100 mile against it. If it had been a couple of furlongs shorter last year,
this coming from the trainer who finished second in the race last year, narrowly mown down the run to the line.
you know, but when you think of it, like, I don't think, you know,
It would have been nice if they consulted the riders. The riders who are actually going to be
Yeah.
riding in the race.
yeah.
They've moved it that the start was in a grand position where you have a couple of fences to jump over. The start is very close to a bend now. What happens when you're at a bend?
Your first fence is
Wipe
the
out.
one
You
past
go
the
and
stands
you
turning
just-
away.
you
But
cut through.
but lads, what is the idea of it really when you think of it, to have novices running over 4 miles? Who come up with it first to say, here's
That
young
that was a good
novices,
idea.
it's a good idea?
Put amateurs on them.
Do you know what I mean? When you just think of it now.
Well, they're not amateurs anymore, obviously, but
You
yeah,
know.
you're right.
Who
just
came
doesn't-
up with racing around Downpatrick, but I love the place.
Yeah, no,
Look,
more of a
Even
roller coaster.
Jockey's head and you go to the start or you go to the start. Is this a 2 mile race? It's 2.5. You'll go a gear faster, and I know it's only 2 furlong difference, but you'll know it's a
No,
2
you will.
furlong
Everyone will be-
difference.
Yeah,
a
which is
little
amazing. You
bit-
see,
little
if
bit
you
squeezy,
know
yeah.
that there's animals to be taken out of their comfort zone, and you know we're going
Yeah.
too fast here, but all of a sudden it's very hard, especially in like a Cheltenham. All the instructions that's given.
Yeah.
Anyone that's involved in a horse, they're all going to be there. Every syndicate member, so everyone will have their little throwing,
say.
their say. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
awful. I just, you know, you'd want to be, every jockey like that, and you'd want to be like Paul Carber. You'd want to be humming a song in your mind
Forget about
when
it,
you're getting all these instructions. The only one thing about the 4 miler is it's long enough to carry out all the instructions.
So Patrick Mullins obviously has a great chance in making it 3 wins in the race with carefully selected. I presume Jamie Codd will be on Champagne Classic, former Grade 1 winner for Gordon Elliott. He's actually won at the festival as well, hasn't he? J. Slevin win on him in the Martin Pipe?
Yeah,
He did.
you're right.
Yeah, very good horse.
Is he running it?
I don't know.
He's not a bad. He's on ratings and all now. He's a fair horse as well. He
Ran well at Leopardstown to battle over Diane.
did.
Both of them on ground
He
that
did.
didn't suit.
Did,
But
yeah. But
Battle
carefully
over
select is only he's only
Diane.
entered in this, isn't he? It's the only entry he has. I'm
Yeah, I
fairly
imagine
sure
that's where
goes
he
for
will
it.
go.
Yeah.
But what was the horse we were talking about? Champagne Classic. That battle over Diane run. Did the form fall apart? Did battle over
He
Diane?
beat me in the
flop
chase in
the last
Wexford.
day?
He beat me in the chase. I was giving him a bit of weight, but he bet my fella fairly handy. Now Wexford wouldn't suit my fella, but then this fella's a big horse too.
Robbie Power riding that
Puppy rode him that
Puppy,
day.
yeah, I thought
And Russell was on my lad, and you know it was just one of the days that we thought that maybe a more of aggressive ride, but our lad
back
goes
at it.
through his flat, and your man still went off 25 lengths in front of him. We closed it back to 5, but on a line with that, you know, how would Ballyward fare with carefully selected? Would you reckon back in his novel?
They'd be
You know what I mean?
similar.
Would you reckon
where-
Ballyward wouldn't be better than him?
I don't think he'd be better than him.
Right.
Carefully selected, you know, I won a beginners on him in Fairy House and he made a stupid mistake at the second last twice. It was
Did
good.
the same here last time,
He
didn't
was
he?
good in Punchestown, then made a
Yeah.
stupid mistake
Yeah,
with Paul.
terrible mistake, yeah.
He's a brilliant jumper and then he just makes these howlers. If you do that in a race in Cheltenham, there's plenty of Willie's favourites that I tip
Yeah.
where this lad's a bit short for the things that could go wrong.
he's been a talking horse since he was. Did you ride him in his bumper in
I was
Cheltenham?
second on him in the
Second,
champion
yeah.
bumper.
won a
People
point
were
for
talking
Ted
about
Walsh.
the 4 miler when he was second in
Won
the
a point
bumper.
for Ted Walsh.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Was he second to the mayor, was it?
Relegate,
yeah.
just got up and beat him.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's a deserving favourite, but I don't think I'd go for him here. There's a horse I like of David Bridgewater's, the Conditional.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
33
yeah.
to 1 here. He was
Yeah.
good for Martin Hassett over here,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
horse.
actually, yeah.
Very good run in Newbury behind the Rasher counter.
In the
Was it
Hennessy or the now
the
Ladbroke
Ladbroke
trophy.
now,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think he's fairly solid and has handicap experience going into, you know, a lot of amateurs going around. I hope they get someone proper on his back, but like any of the previews I do for the amateur races, you sit down, you look, Patrick Mullins, Jamie Codd, Derek O'Connor, you go through the list.
Pick the riders.
And then you pick the riders,
Yeah.
and then you go back and see what they're on. I hope they have someone solid on this lad. I think he's got a great chance at a big price.
Yeah, I'd agree. I actually think Lisnagar Oscar as well as overpriced. Smoking Gun for Joseph, wasn't he one of the fancies for the Thyestes? Probably he unseated early in the race. Oakley Brown was riding.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
So this actually is a wide open race thing. 7-2 about carefully selected. What do you think, Gary?
Looks very short now. His jumping I just don't like. He's just too slow over his jumps, I think. Champagne Classic is hard to knock. He has good form in the book. Stayed a trip. Looks tailor-made for him. But Copperhead, I was impressed the other day when he won. I'd imagine Derek O'Connor will probably ride. JP doesn't have anything in here overly fancied. So I'd imagine Derek will take the ride in him. A lot to like about that performance. He's going in the right direction. And he could be value against the two Irish horses.
Good. That's day one.
Yes, they are.
Sorted.